All right, we're back for scenario 2 of the managing incidents assignment. So here's our next scenario. So engine 31 is on the scene. I've got 2.5-story residential structure with fire on the exterior on the delta side that is exposing a second 2.5-story residential structure. Go ahead and make this a working fire. Our initial action of our engine company, I would set the command, and we would be a fast attack command because we need some immediate involvement here, and would pass that command to the next arriving officer, next arriving chief officer, whichever arrived first. But our first action here is going to be to get water on this fire. Looking at these two buildings, doing a further size up, completing the 360 again is favorable in our view, and we would communicate that to the responding crews coming in. But if I'm looking at the house on the left here, I've got some heavy smoke in the back side of the house, and I've got some smoke here coming out of this porch. But the conditions on the inside of this house don't look too bad right now. We look at the house on the right, and we know no smoke conditions on the inside. We've got reports that personnel are trapped in both structures. So I would want to put a quick hit on this fire. Looks like it possibly started on the exterior. So my first line would go right where these folks have theirs, and would be throwing water on those fires, trying to knock those down. If we can, put this fire out and prevent the situation from getting any worse, that's going to be good for those occupants. So as the first crew's doing that, the second crew to arrive on scene again in the city, standard complement, 4 engines, a ladder, a medic, and 2 chiefs. I would have the next arriving unit, depending on where it's at in the city, that's going to either be the ladder company or it's going to be an engine company. I'm going to have them pull a second line and go into the house that's on the left, the one that looks like it was the start of the more heavily involved. And they're going to take a line in with them, but their primary job is going to be for search to look for those trapped occupants. That was the one that has more smoke coming out, so I'm going to place a higher priority on that house initially. If the initial attack crew can get quick water down and knock down this exterior fire first, then they would transition into that house as well. And we would get those 2 crews in there knocking down any fire that's on the inside there, as well as searching. Next arriving crew for us, whether it's that other engine company or the truck company, depending on where we're at, they're going to go into the house that's on the right. Same thing, they're going to take a hand line in with them, and they're going to primarily look, doing primary search of that building on the right. That's going to be the primary goal for both of these structures, is searching and removing those occupants. For us, our medic crews go in and fight fire. So with the report of the trapped occupants, I would call for additional medic resources, because we don't primarily use our medic units as medics on structure fire calls. I would make this a second alarm just to the involvement of both houses, and the labor intensive actions that are going to be required. Essentially we have 2 separate buildings that are involved here, so each one of those are going to get 1 alarm assignment. As this incident progressed and we got additional companies on scene from an ICS structure, we could break this down into branches or divisions, with one house being a division or branch and the other house being a division or branch, and then let those subsequent branch directors or division supervisors request additional resources. Primary responsibility is going to be search, removal of the occupants of both of these, checking for any fire extension, putting out fire, getting them ventilated, and then any other subsequent actions that are required from there. Going to need maybe another medic unit for our personnel for rehab on scene. Again, with 2 houses going, labor intensive, going to be a lot of work, so we want to make sure we have a medic there for us as well. If we find any additional victims, we may have to call additional medics on an as needed basis. Second alarm is going to get us 2 engines, a ladder, a chief, and an air unit, so we'll get plenty of resources coming in. We'd want to call for that early. Our initial assignment automatically pulls at least 2 mutual aid engines, and so we deplete some of the resources that are close to us. So these are going to be coming from farther out, could be coming from volunteer organizations, so there's a time delay that is built in there. So we want to call for that early to get those resources coming. Third or fourth engine on the scene, It's going to be assigned as the RIC. Maybe both. We want to get a RIC company established for both houses. We're going to have crews working in both structures here. Once we get the fires knocked down, we check for extension, get them ventilated, do some salvage and overhaul, then go into the investigation mode, determine the cause and origin. And I believe that's it for this scenario. Thank you.